you're gonna hear her say, "Get the f*** out of the car! Get the f*** out of the car! I will shoot you!" She's the aggressor. And this defendant is guilty.
I don't want to take away from the tragedy of the loss, but I do want you to look at how it came to be. This is a young girl doing what she was told to do. Let her know she's not guilty.
"25-year-old Hannah Payne is about to go on trial for the 2019 shooting death of Kenneth Herring. If convicted, she could spend the rest of her life behind bars.
Kenneth Herring, the victim in this case, was a very proud man. He grew up in a small town in Georgia.
Hannah Payne lived in neighboring Fayette County.
I grew up around police officers, actually. So
I got you.
my entire life until I was 18 and my grandfather passed away, I was going to be a police officer.
She wanted to be a cop.
On May the 7th of 2019, Kenneth Herring was driving into a very busy intersection here in Clayton County. There was extreme traffic on that day.
The light was green. The vehicles were turning to the left.
Terry Robinson identified himself as a state officer.
All of a sudden, I seen this maroon vehicle come, bam, hit the side of the truck.
Kenneth Herring ran through a red light and struck an 18-wheeler.
His eyes were a glassy effect. I didn't smell any alcohol on him, or nothing of sort, but I just noted that the gentleman was, out of it.
The driver who caused the accident, I think he's impaired. Something's going on with him.
After waiting for 20 minutes, Kenneth Herring did drive away.
He's moving his ears. He's gonna drive off now. He's driving off. Take a picture of the driving license. Take a picture, quick.
Officer Robinson started screaming, "Can you get the tag? Get a picture of the tag."
She starts to follow him.
Now the other driver who was in she's going to take a picture of the vehicle.
While she is in pursuit, she is on the telephone with 911 operator.
So you couldn't get a tag number?
No, but I'm catching up to him right now.
Okay, ma'am, we actually do not want you to chase him. I want you guys to go back to the location where it happened, and an officer will be out there momentarily, okay? Ma'am.
During this encounter, Mr. Herring's vehicle comes into contact with Hannah Payne's vehicle.
And at that point, Hannah Payne did pull her firearm.
He's telling me the whole time, oh, well, I don't know who you are. He was leaning back while he's pulling me. I got something for you, reaching. And that's when I told him, I said, I have a gun. I said, and I will shoot you. He grabs my hand with the gun, and it got to where the gun was pointed kind of that way. And he had a hold of the trigger, and the trigger was pulled.
And Mr. Herring received a gunshot wound to the abdomen, and he died later at the hospital.
Who shot him?
The officer was able to walk up to her, and when he said, "Who shot him?" Hannah Payne said, "I did."
Originally, we did not charge her with murder. It was involuntary manslaughter. She did have a few very small abrasions and a ripped shirt, so obviously there had to be some type of struggle at the vehicle. But based upon just the interviews...
And that's when I put my finger on the trigger.
And the statements...
She reached in the window and everything, confrontational. And shot that man. He had to shoot that man like that.
It was obvious to the prosecutors that she could be charged with malice murder.
I'm pulling, and that's when it went off. Okay.
So malice murder is the unlawful intention to kill. I believe we were able to show evidence in this case when she informed Kenneth Herring that she was going to shoot him.
I told him, I said, I have a gun. I said, and I will shoot you.
She was ultimately charged with malice murder, 2 counts of felony murder, false imprisonment, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
The case goes to trial in December of 2023.
I saw a young lady approach the truck and began swinging and hitting the man that was in the driver's side of the truck.
After she pulled the gun, she shot him and she said, now you need an ambulance.
They were all very consistent about Hannah Payne's demeanor and how she was acting.
The defense strategy in this case was certainly to paint Mr. Herring as less of a victim.
I noticed you were able to look at the contents of the vehicle that Mr. Herring was in. Those orange caps, what they appear to be.
They would appear to be the cap that covers the tip of a sharp object like a hypodermic needle or something like that.
And were any of those caps collected?
No, sir.
Was there any medical condition?
Yes, we were told that specifically that he had a medical history of hypertension and diabetes.
He was a diabetic.
It was certainly our theory that Mr. Herring was disoriented and maybe needed medical attention regarding his diabetic issues based on all of the insulin needles that were scattered throughout his vehicle.
As a part of the autopsy examination, because he had a medical history of diabetes, I conducted a test that helps to look for any evidence of elevated blood sugar.
And did you find any elevated levels of blood sugar?
It was not elevated.
Mr. Herring had absolutely no drugs and no alcohol in his system.
And it didn't help the defense because there was nothing there to support their theory that he was possibly a drug user.
But there's one more key piece of evidence that the defense wants to show the jury.
There was a knife that was in Mr. Herring's vehicle. At one point, it felt like we needed to put her on the stand and tell her side of the story. And what happened then?
He grabbed me by my wrist and he pulled me into the vehicle. And he kept yelling at me, telling me, I have something for you. And he's leaning and he's reaching and he's pulling. I'm telling him to let me go. And that's when he hits the gas. Like my light flashed before my eyes and I thought I was going to go down Riverdale Road.
The defense wanted to demonstrate how it could have been plausible that Kenneth Herring's finger could have been in the trigger.
You grab like this, that shows his fingers are right there over the trigger.
Correct.
So it's possible any of the 4 digits got into that trigger.
Correct.
Again.
As he's pulling it is when the trigger went off.
So you were aware that dispatcher did not want you to continue to follow Mr. Herring, correct?
Yes.
That's what I want. I want you guys to go back to the location where it happened, and an officer will be out there momentarily, okay?
And you never once got out of your vehicle and go up to him and tell him to get out of the car?
Well, everyone heard I did.
Now, is your testimony today that you've never had your finger on the trigger?
It is.
Down at the bottom of the page where you see your name, can you read that paragraph?
He's pulling. After he had tried to pull the trigger, when it came back around, is when I had my hand on the trigger.
She said in her interview with the police that her finger was on the trigger.
With regard to count 1 as to the offense of malice murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 2 as to the offense of felony murder, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. With regard to count 3, as to the offense of aggravated assault, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
The court will impose a sentence of life with the possibility of parole. Thus 8 years consecutive on false imprisonment and 5 years consecutive on the possession of firearm during the commission of a felony.
As I watched her leaving out, and she was crying as she was going through those doors, that's the same way I felt when they closed that casket on him. That door would never open again. I'll never see my brother again.